The story about this tool is, in some ways, it was Mary Beth's idea. We were at an AI conference, and then she asked the panel about detecting bias, like how can you detect bias or sycophancy in the response? And what she meant by that was the AI overly agreeing with you. So if you're like, hey, I think this is true, blah, 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 the AI often goes, you're absolutely right. We're all familiar with that phrase. And the panel didn't have a great answer there. It's not possible. Bias will always exist. You can't really do anything about it. So after she asked the question, I approached her and I showed her some prompts where you ask your original question to one AI or model, and then you can use other ones to critique the original response. And if you want to be as strong as possible, you can say, do adversarial analysis and look at this topic. So we got multiple models to evaluate her original position. And we went back and forth a bit, and eventually she solidified her arguments. So it's also like a partnership thing. It's not like you just get an answer, don't think about it. But this is something that I was doing all the time manually, just copying and pasting between different models. Then she's, oh, why don't you just build a tool for that? Actually, that'd be a good idea. It would save me time. That's the tool that I'm about to demo. Each model has its strengths. When you have multiple models, put it all together, it gives you a pretty nice like summary. I've included sources and stuff like that as well.
Slightly, a little bit of a detour now. How I was brought in, so a little bit of a background story. The first time that I had gone to an event with lots of kind of different VCs and founders, I had a pretty particular interaction with an investor where I watched them, I guess, just for lack of a better phrase, interact with the female founder in a really uncomfortable manner. And so I met Mary Beth and Jeff a few months after this, and we wound up talking about kind of gender dynamics and things like this. And that memory came up, and I had shared the encounter with Mary Beth. And I still remember that she had politely asked me, are you wondering if that dynamic makes it easier for women in the startup scene? And it just floored me a little bit. I think I had said, no, I'm not asking if objectification is a net positive, because that's a pretty insane position. But clearly, she felt like she needed to test what my personal beliefs were in order to know how to best navigate the conversation. And I found that quite telling. I think that that kind of code switching speaks to the amount of education she's attempted to do and has a million other implications about the beliefs of the people that she's interacting with. And so Mary Beth asked me to join and share that story, and I thought it would be a nice opportunity to hear some different perspectives.
Thanks so much for sharing that. It stood out to me that of the long conversation we had about a lot of different topics, that was the one part of the conversation that stood out to you too. And so it turns out that the conversation I'd had with Jeff just prior to meeting Josh was the one that led Jeff to create this new tool. Takeaways I want to leave you all with are about how we can use AI to navigate challenging scenarios, which in this case it's blind spots, more strategic and more effectively. We can also use AI to help us influence decisions that we're told or we believe are not influenceable. And for me, a really telling result or lesson from my experience is that when women entrepreneurs have opportunities, and they may be rare opportunities, to tell their stories or give their pitches on their startups or open windows for other women entrepreneurs, the headlines can be retrofitted to other narratives, and it's often unintentional and unconscious. And this can perpetuate bias. This happens in the media a lot. So I think it's just important to recognize